Radio KOGT. It's 12 o'clock here at Hometown Radio KOGT, Orange, Texas. And like I told you, we have for you the interview from this morning with Margaret Toll and Captain Robert Inman. You're listening to KOGT on this Friday morning, and we have a special guest here. It's Detective Captain Robert Inman with the Orange Police Department. He's going to explain about a lot of false threats to the schools and rumors going around. Good morning, Captain.
Good morning. Yeah, I just want to come online and get this some information out there to people. I've been inundated with questions from administrations in the school district, so I want to get the correct information out there so that parents and teachers know what we were dealing with yesterday. Yesterday, about 1 o'clock, our dispatch received 2 phone calls. Both phone calls was of a concerning nature of a person that called that made a reference to Florida shooting. He also made several other references to issues that he had had in his life. There was never a direct threat to any school or any school district. There was never a specific act of violence that he talked about. But due to the nature of and the way he was conveying this information, and we was able to quickly identify him and our personal knowledge of him and his mental state, we, in abundance of caution, wanted to put officers at the schools in the city of Orange until we was able to get more information and try to locate this individual and just get a clearer picture of what was going on. We was able to do that in a fairly short time frame, but while we was working on this investigation, we put the officers out there in the schools, and that's what the parents and teachers were seeing and became alarmed about.
Were the threats made within Orange, or were they out of town, or do you know where they came from yet?
Through investigation, we later discovered this person was actually in Kansas, and that took a time frame to get there to where we was able to locate him. A local police department in Kansas did make contact with him, so we verified he was not in the area and therefore was never a threat. But until that happened, we had to go with the, like I said, abundance of caution to make sure that all of our students and teachers was safe. If this had been a actual threat, a specific threat of violence or a specific school, you would have saw a much heavier presence of law enforcement. As it was, there was just for the most part, one officer at each campus. And that was in case we needed to step up our response to something, we had somebody in place. So instead of waiting for something to happen, as soon as we had the hint of a possibility, we went ahead and took the proactive action and put officers at these sites. I realized that a lot of parents and even teachers took this as a lockdown and other various things. At no time did we direct the schools to do anything out of the norm. Now, what happened at the elementary school in Little Cypress is they're over at the churches where they have their classes now. They just happened to be having a speaker, I believe it was, that came in, and so they had almost every student into one place. And what the detective did when he got there and realized this, he requested that the other students that were not in there to be brought in. And that was simply because now we had the unique opportunity to put everybody in one spot. And in terms of security, that just worked out exceptionally well. A lot of parents took that as a lockdown. It actually wasn't. It just worked out with the what they had going on and having everybody in one room. It worked out really well on our end of it.
How long did this last?
We received a threat at roughly 1 o'clock, and we received information from Kansas. I believe it was around 4:30 or 5 when I got the confirmation that he had been located and detained up there.
Have you had a lot of calls from worried parents?
Dispatch has fielded a lot of calls, and I recently met with, like I said, administration of school, and that prompted me coming up here to talk to everyone. They have been inundated with people with these concerns and false rumors and what happened and didn't happen. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to come on to the local station here and put out the correct information. We also had some people with concerns on how come somebody wasn't at their school. If you weren't in the city of Orange, that's the only schools that we were concerned with. Every law enforcement agency in Orange County was contacted by my department and was notified of what we had, and they reacted in the way that they reacted. I have no control over how they reacted.
Are you getting a lot more threats or things like this coming in now in the last couple of weeks?
Whenever we have a school shooting, we always have an uptick in threats. Every one of those is taken with the utmost seriousness. Obviously, look what happened yesterday, and this wasn't even a direct threat. We've already dealt with several since the Florida shooting. All of them have been investigated and proved to be not of a nature that needed direct police action in terms of a lockdown or something like that. It's usually individuals that have either a prank or was having other issues, and that's the way they lashed out and expressed themselves.
Was it a threat, the false threat, to one particular school or everywhere in the county or anywhere?
No, basically it came in as his conversation. He made 2 phone calls back to back to our dispatch. The conversation started with, well, you know what happened in Florida at the school, and then he went on to talk about bullying and how he was started expressing his issues that he had in his life. And then the second phone call came in, and he made some comments about family members, and because of those, 2 of my detectives were actually able to recognize his voice and was familiar with the complaints he had. The complaints he had brought up were thoroughly investigated by us and Child Protective Services and proved to be false, but it also led us to understand his mental state. Hence, the reason why we stepped up our reaction more than maybe we normally would. By having personal knowledge of this person, it caused us to react in more of an immediate manner.
Okay, but he was in Kansas, not anywhere near here.
Yes, he was in Kansas the entire time. We had gotten that information fairly early from a friend that he supposedly jumped on a rail car and was out of Orange 2 days ago. But until we could verify that information, then we had to go on an assumption that he was around the corner.
Okay. Jumped on a rail car. That's unusual too, isn't it?
Well, this goes to painting a picture of this person's lifestyle and mental state.
Now, is it a felony to call in a threat to a school, or do you know? Or for
it depends
kids?
on the. If you're asking me a specific penalty group,
okay.
Right now I don't remember it offhand, but yes, it's a crime. There's different degrees and levels of the crime depending on how the threat was made, the credibility of the threat, and the degree of reaction that was caused by government agencies.
So if you get this one, he's going to be punished.
This particular person was arrested in Kansas. I can tell you he was arrested partially based on the threat that happened in Texas, which is odd because if it had been a reversal, we wouldn't have been able to take it, the threat made in Kansas and arrested in Texas. So they have a different series of laws that deal with that, and for that I am appreciative right now. But they were very familiar with him in this small community in Kansas, to the point that one of the sergeants that my detective was talking to had remembered arresting him 10 or 15 times in past years. So they both knew who he was and was more than happy to go out and try to find him, and they did.
Okay, what would you tell parents right now who are scared?
This worked out to be a fantastic drill. We had no direct threat to any school. We had no direct information on specific action. Everybody reacted based on the information that we had and on the person that we identified. We was able to identify him very quickly. We was able to locate him in a fairly short manner. Parents should take comfort in knowing that these threats are taken seriously. Sometimes, kind of like making sausage, it's a little messy at first, but I was very happy with the way my department reacted and the way the school districts reacted. Out of this, there's some things that we're going to need to work on, but they're fairly minor. On my end, it's more of a communication thing. We're going to start with some type of system where I can communicate better with administrations and schools. But that's kind of the meat of making sausage. So believe it or not, even though it caused people stress, it caused families stress, it caused teachers and students stress, as a drill, this worked out fantastic.
And we're glad it was just a drill.
Absolutely. Like I said, we're using it as a drill. While we were doing it, we were an exception, something could develop. But based on that is the reason we reacted the way we did.
Okay, can you think of anything we haven't covered?
No, I just want to make sure parents are aware and teachers and everyone that's listening that we take this, any threats, even comments, very serious. If a school goes into lockdown, you will know it immediately in terms of our reaction. If you just have a police officer on the campus, it could be there for many reasons. If it's there because of something like yesterday, if there's just one, then you probably don't have a problem. If you have, 20 police cars out there, then we probably have something we're working on.
Okay, well, we really appreciate you taking your time to come here and talk with us. We've been hearing some things this morning. We're about to call you when you called us, and we appreciate all the work you do for helping out at schools and all around the community.
Thank y'all, and I really appreciate KOGT. Y'all's ability to put video and information out there in a timely manner has helped in numerous cases in the past, especially some of our theft and burglary cases. So I really want to thank y'all for all that.
Okay. Hometown